Hey guys, welcome to my channel and welcome to the stream and another chapter working on this guy right there. That's our B-2A Spirit bomber by Model Collect, and it's a 1/72nd scale, and we're going to get into the next chapter here in a second. Okay, we're back. So, we got a little bit done last time. Not too much done, but got a little bit done. Started getting the engines assembled. Yes, we got them assembled. Got one assembled, mostly. Off camera, I started getting the other 4 put together. You know, it was funny, after assembling this first one, I thought, okay, got one more to do and it'll be done. 2 engines, right? Well, no, they actually got 4 engines in this bird, not just 2. And you know, one would think by looking at the instructions that you could tell there's 4 engines to build. Not me. No, I thought there's 2 because yeah, there's 2 assemblies, 2 engine assemblies, yes, but there's actually 4 engines. So let me change the camera and show you a little bit what we're looking at here. Okay, so we have this engine here, and I still don't have the intake duct. Now last time I mentioned to you guys I had to do some research to see whether I got to paint the insides of these white or not. Well, as it turns out, the insides of these intakes are the same color as the fuselage, so I don't have to worry about that at all. So I did paint the engine fan. Okay, the engine fan's a nice dark metallic gunmetal color now, based on reference photos that I've seen. And so now we can put this on here, but again, this is really how this orients is gonna really depend on how it all goes together. Okay, so that's why I'm just gonna leave that. I have this one done because it doesn't really matter what orientation you have the actual engine, although you do want to try and maybe have these details on the sides kind of like the way they show in the pictures, and have those little lines, you know, on the sides. I wasn't paying attention with this one, and I got the line going right across the top. Hopefully that doesn't come to bite me, but if it does, I could just shave it off. Why? Because it's inside the fuselage and you're never going to see this part, ever, right? If you're doing the version where you've got the bay door open, where's my bay door? If you are going to have your bay doors open, then yes, it does matter, and you're going to want to paint that up because that's going to sit right around there, something like this, some kind of deal like that, right? So you're going to see that, so yeah, you want to have that painted up nicely. Speaking of bay doors, got this one glued in. We did that yesterday, right? So this one's glued in. I wound up having to put a lot of putty all the way around here because you could see through the gap on this very, very nicely. You could see through. Now what I don't like is, even though I had this sitting flat on the glass, it feels like there's a little bit of a lip here. I'm just going to grab some sandpaper and just quickly confirm or deny, just to make sure. And yeah, there is just that little bit of a step right there, very, very slight. Let's just do the same on this. That's kind of nice thing. Sandpaper doesn't really lie. The front edge is pretty close. It's not bad. It's not bad. My buddy that I'm building this for sent me a message and told me, yes, he saw my video and he wants a discount for the fingerprint marks. So I just might have to. Pardon me. Excuse me. I just might have to give him a little bit of a break. Another thing I wanted to show you guys. What have I got going on here? Well, I decided it was time to glue the cockpit into the fuselage. Now, because I'm not doing the way that they are telling you in the book, so I kind of have to match it up, line this up here, with our dashboard, and then I glued just these two sides. And because I lined it up here, this is touching against here. You notice that big gap here. So really, it's only glued here and here, and that's it. There's nothing else holding this in. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So I want to add a little bit of reinforcement and get this glued in properly. You see up here what I've done. Thank you, ambulances. I'll just take a minute here. Okay, so put some putty in around these gaps, filled all those in. Those are all nice. This one I got a little bit of a step, so we got to do a little bit of sanding here. We got to take down that step, as you can tell. As you can see, there's quite a big step there. So this thing needs to, it's just a little too proud. A little bit of sanding, a little bit of elbow grease on that. Bring this down, make that a little more flush, and yeah, we'll get that looking better. And the same with these. Sand these down a little bit. We'll get those flat and flush and looking nice and pretty, nice and ready for paint, right? I just haven't done that yet, so I just want to do that. Get these flush and flat, all that good stuff. Well, you see, fingerprint just disappeared, just like that. Fingerprint's gone. Don't have to worry about it. Just that little 5 seconds of sanding. Fingerprint's gone. Okay, you're never gonna notice it. Okay, so there we go. So yeah, still need a little bit more work. You can see it's sitting a little proud. A couple of spots like that. Same with this one on the front edge. Each one needs a little bit of work, a little bit of sanding just to bring it down. Before we get into anything else, I want to get into getting this thing a little bit more solidly glued in here, okay? So what am I going to do with that? How am I going to do that? I'm going to use styrene. I'm going to use some extra pieces of styrene. I think I've got a little strip over here somewhere. I'll just use this. I happen to have this sitting in here, just waiting to be used. Just a little styrene rod. It's been sitting in a box, bent a little bit, but we're going to use this. I'll get 2 pieces off of here. Put this back. And what I'm going to do with this, because this is the styrene, it's the same kind of stuff that this stuff's made out of. I'll kind of put it in like that. And it'll glue here, here, and along this edge, and that'll be good enough to hold it in place. And that's really all you need to do. Okay? And that's all I need to do. So I could use this one that's a little bit more bent. Maybe get a little bit better contact along the roof because it's bent a little bit. That'll work. So let me just grab onto it here. I'll put a little bit of glue on each tip. This, that. Doesn't have to be centered or anything like that. Just do that. Yeah, woohoo, it's in now. Okay, and now I'll just slather some glue on there. And that's all we need to do. And now that's going to hold it there. That's going to give it some rigidity and hold it there. Hey mate, I really love your stream and enjoy being part of your fan community. Would you mind adding me up on Discord? My username is Michelin12. I'll take a look for you there, Mr. 2 Twitch Pro. To be honest, I don't go on Discord very often, but maybe I'll just have to do that later today. Okay, so we're going to let this dry. Another thing I could do is add one maybe across the front, but I don't think that's really necessary. Or I could put one at the sides here, couple of little pieces. I don't think that's really necessary though. This is glued in pretty good here on each side where it's touching the fuselage. And then we're going to have that piece at the back there. That's going to be an anchor point for the back. So I think that's going to be good enough. I'm pretty sure. Any kind of jarring or anything like that, I don't think that's going to come loose. So I think we'll be good. Okay? So let's have a look at our engines again. Let's have another look at our engines. So we need to get our other pieces put in, like I'm going to call them our jiggly pieces. These guys here. So I did notice the actual exhaust port on that is just a rectangle and you can't see any detail in there. And I guess that's fine. I did notice I got some flashing on the sides here. I don't know if that's going to interfere with where this thing goes into the next piece. I don't think it will. But I can do that on all of these just to make sure they're clean. You know, at first I figured all my engines are done and I don't have to do that, worry about this too much, but you know, this kit, you know, when I first opened this kit and was looking at it, all the detail looks really good. They did a good job visually of making this thing look nice. But as it turns out, a lot of the things, especially the panels, those panels, they just don't fit. There are a few negative things, I'd say, with this kit. So anyway, you can see we've got slightly different shapes in our exhaust nozzles. One is a perfect rectangle, one is kind of tapered. And we'll compare. This one's also tapered. And this one's a rectangle. So we have two that match and two that are different. Well, I guess the two that are different also match with each other. But yeah. Okay, so let's try and get this so that it's the correct orientation. So I'm going to put this little, see that little line there? Okay, I'm going to have it, this is up, okay? So it's like this. And then we'll take this guy and we'll put him on the back here. And he goes like this. And I'll line him up just like that. Sure. That look good? So this kind of comes to this line, and that's the parting line there. That's what I'm going to call done for alignment. Okay, a little bit more on this side. Okay, so there's one. Set him down. Do the same here. This guy. Let's see, line it up with this line. Our parting line right about there. Okay. There's number 2 done. Okay, let's grab number 3. This is technically number 4. Line this guy up. Now these parts do fit together nicely. Okay, I'll give them that, right? They're panels. It's their panels that just don't fit. But these pieces fit great. And of course their whole system in the cockpit with the ejection rails for the ejection seats is just a mess. Okay, so with these like this, we got to get C, 12, and 13. All right, so let's find those. Off of our C tree. Where's my C tree? Is this the C tree? That's D. Found my D. That was quick. Here we go, 12 and 13. I'm going to get 13 fall over here. There we go, that was 13, right? Yes, okay. So here's number 12. Let's clean up our nubs here a little bit better. In fact, what I should do is change my glasses. I'm just going to do that real quick. Okay. So, they want you to take, it's funny, they have the engines labeled P and P. So yeah, you got to put your P and P in there like that. So let's just see. Let's grab one of these, and it's supposed to go, oh, they have our holes. One is a rectangle. Let's see that. One's a rectangle and the other one's got that little funky angle to it. So there you go, that tells us which is left and which is right. Alright, which tells me this one, which is a rectangle, goes in here. And they don't have it going into any slot, so I just kind of line it up and call that done. Don't do it like this, otherwise your engine's going to be sticking out the side of the plane, and you don't want that. You want to line it up like this. It's really sad that they're just leaving it to a hope and a prayer that you get it lined up. That really does suck that they're doing it this way. So, I mean, honestly, I would like to open that hole up and make that fit and just a little nicer in there. But, you know, what can I do, really? Short of, you know, chamfering this out like this kind of thing. Do that for each side. And give it the illusion that it's a little bit bigger hole. I mean, yeah, it looks a little better, but not much. There's not much I can do, really, except put a little glue on there and line her up. Line that up, hold it for a sec. And just say that's done like that. It's really kind of hokey. I don't like that. There's no guide pins, there's no nothing. You're just kind of really on your own as far as getting that lined up. Now we're supposed to put this in on the top of the top fuselage, which would be this guy here, and I don't know which side it needs to go. It looks like the rectangular piece is going to go towards the inside of the plane. So this guy's going to go in like this. I'm almost tempted, considering it doesn't really fit properly. It doesn't want to fit. I'm tempted more to glue this part in first, and that's what I'm going to do. We're going to take this off of here. We're going to glue these pieces in first, like this, because that's part of this. And yeah, and I definitely want to open up those holes a little bit and make them a little bigger than that, because you can really see those. So they've done a nice job of giving you like some detail on the outsides of the nozzles. There's a little bit of a lip that goes around them, right? And that's pretty neat. But other than that, that's that. So this side goes in here, and we're going to glue this one in. Okay. A little bit of pressure just to make sure that gap is lined up. Hold that for a sec. Okay, that's good. It's holding. All right, let's grab the other piece. Clean this guy up. This edge doesn't really matter about your nubs. There's nothing that goes in there. It's not going to interfere. So they don't have to be that pretty. This line should be nice and clean though. Okay, so we'll get this side in. And it does, it just fits in there very nicely. So hold this for a sec with a little bit of pressure. Glue do its thing. That's what it's going to look like on the outside. Just like that. Okay. So, if we take our original one that we started to glue, let's put our other three over to the side here just for a minute. Take this guy, and we know that he's going to go in right here. Okay, now I noticed right off the bat with him sitting like that, this wants to sit up high. The engine's kind of in the air. If I take the intake, it needs to go down and line up right on there. Okay. So if I do something like this, kind of hold it like that, line that up. Now we got a real unfortunate situation with the engine touching the back. It's too far from the front. See, with the touching here, I've got, oh no, it's actually just perfect. Just perfect. Well, I now know exactly how that needs to sit. And it needs to sit just like that. It is a little weird that the engine's just kind of right in the air like that. But I want to open up these holes. So that's what we're going to focus on for the rest of this build, or the rest of tonight, is these holes. I'm going to open them up If I can get my file in there, that would be great. But ideally, I want to carve them open a little bit. Where'd my knife go? There it is. So, it's going to take a little bit of shaving. I don't want to go too far, but I want the hole open. Even if I got to get in there later and paint these black, that's okay. I want it to look like a decent sized hole. I definitely don't want the lip showing on the outside of the plane. Even though, you know, my buddy, he's going to have this hanging up, and so probably the top of the plane is not going to be something super noticeable, but you know, once in a while he's going to want to look in the engines and say, hey, that looks cool, and not, hey, that looks like crap. So I don't want him to think it looks like crap. So, and you know, at the same time, he's paying quite a bit for this kit, so I want to do my best on it. Okay, we've got a decently opened hole now, which I think is going to look good. Now, if I line this up on here, I think that's much better looking than the way it was. Clean up this edge a little bit. And yeah, getting in here and painting it black even before I install it, I think is going to be a good idea. Getting in there with a little bit of flat black paint of some sort, because, well, yeah, it's just going to look better. Okay, so that's one. Now, next we got these guys. So we got this little funky little guy here, and he's going to go on the outside like this, right? But he's got the slightly different shape to him, but it almost comes to a point and it's closed, so we need to open this up. I'm sorry, but we need to. That's just ridiculous. Now, hindsight being 2020, I would have preferred to do this before even assembling them, because then I could just really shave down most of it and not have to worry about it. Now I've got to watch my fingers, I've got to be careful on how much I open and stuff like that, so you have to be careful now. Now if you can get in there with a Dremel, that would be even better, but this is the bottom part, so we just need to kind of chamfer this out. Does the hole have to be wider? I don't think it does, but it's not going to hurt. to have it a little wider. My bottom here is not looking too good on this edge. There is a sense where I wouldn't be too disappointed if this didn't actually connect, and where you look in here and you just see black and you can't see anything. You know, like if I were to grab the lower half of the fuselage and just kind of, let's do a little mock-up here. Okay, so here's our two halves put together, and now the insides of those are pretty dark. Right? You could almost get away with not putting anything in there, because you're not going to be able to see. Obviously these bays are going to be closed and you're not going to see through the front, right? That's going to be black. You could almost get away with that. Can you get away with it on the front? No, because you can see you're going to see the intake fans on this thing. I wish my camera would focus more quickly, but yeah. I am tempted. Just go with no nozzles at all at the back. If I did go with no nozzles, that means I could just put this on like that. Just do that. And glue that in. And then leave it. And then just maybe put a piece of styrene. If I can grab that engine again. I could just glue this on and just put a piece of styrene on the side of the engine to support it and not have the rear nozzles at all. And that would save me a whole lot. That would save a lot of doing that, except if he ever shines a light in there, then it's like, oh hey, look, you didn't do that at all. Okay, so I got a little bit shaved out of this one. Let's have a look, see how this looks. Just line that up on there. Line that up in there. She don't look that great. She don't look good at all, actually. It really is just so much smaller than the hole. So even though I've kind of broken this open a little bit, where the glue hasn't really taken place, hasn't really taken hold, this just really needs a big dig out to this really needs to be dug out a lot, so much. I've seen those advertisements on like YouTube and Instagram for those electric knives for doing things like cutting away supports on resin prints and stuff like that. Things like it's like $200 for that thing. Right now that thing would be really awesome to have. But I don't have it. So I'm just going to kind of dig away at this with my file and see if I can get this leading edge wider. The closer I get to it being bigger, the easier my file goes inside of it. Okay, it's definitely opened up now. Let's take another look into this area. It's still not. I really just don't like it at all. It's just horrible, horrible, horrible. I don't want to use it at all because it looks so bad. I'd rather he shine a light in there and see that there's nothing than to have these blocking the look, blocking it. This is just a horrible design. Bye. Get off of there. All of you. Get out of there. Yeah. Get out of there. You too. Get out of there. You took the engine with you. You don't need to be on the engine. Where'd my knife go? This must be the one that I did yesterday. You really don't want to let go. Yeah, this is the rectangular one from yesterday. That's why you're holding on so good. Because you've had a day to try. My pliers are too small. There we go. All right. Okay, you can go back on. Where'd you go? Here. And the only glue only held on one half of it, that's why. Okay, this can get glued back on. We can have a complete engine. Okay. We can have a complete engine. That's okay. So at least if he looks in there, he'll see these. These are going to be suspended in the air. About there, something like that. Which now tells me I can put this on here and call that done. So that's one benefit that this is going to have. So even though I've had to totally rethink what I'm doing with these, I'm going to line up the seam on my forward part of the intake with this little line right there. Okay. There's one. Okay. These guys are going away. Okay. There's this one. Alright, that one's done. I had to utilize my goalie-like reflexes. There's number 3. And finally, number 4. They do fit together really well. I'll give them that, okay? They fit together nicely. But just the look of those nozzles at the back there are just so horrible. I just couldn't bring myself to put them in. Okay, Fourth one done. So, with that being the way it is, I need to glue this against that edge and hold it long enough to actually hold. I need to pay attention to how it looks on the outside here to make sure those are lined up, which is not that hard to do. Get that lined up there like this and leave it and let that set. So it's not that bad. So this is where this glue comes in handy, because I can put a dab or two along here. Line this up. Sure, we'll do this guy. Line that up on there. This glue is not that forgiving in moving around and stuff. So if you move it too much, the glue stops doing its job. So just hold that for a sec. Sorry, I did that whole thing off camera, and I just moved it, showing you guys, moving it into a spot where you can see. Right about there, but I think if I let go now, it's going to fall off because I moved it around too much. Yeah. So I have to reapply the glue. It's right about there. See, I need to be able to see in here to make sure I got it lined up. Whereas before, you didn't have much option. It was just going to be where it is. Okay, so if I can turn this without moving it, and get that lined up there. Hold this up kind of vertical. I got it too high up. There. So yeah, I gotta kind of suspend them for now, and then once the glue is dried a little bit better, then I can support them at the back here. I could even use these guys to support them, stick them down in there, cut the tips off, and use them to support them. But that's that. So I need to do that 3 more times. So let's just prop this up against something here for a sec, while I apply glue to another engine. I should also make sure that my actual intakes are flat. That's also an important thing to do. You should have a flat edge. Get rid of your nubs and flatten that out. Okay, so let's put some glue on here. Okay. Line it up on here as best as I can. Straight up. Now, I don't know if you can see because of the angle I've got it at, but One engine is sitting not, they're not lining up. And yet it's flat against that surface. And yet she don't line up. They're a little cockeyed. See that? We'll see if that's the same on the other side, but yeah. We'll see. Okay, let's grab another one. It is a nice thing about this glue, it doesn't take that long to dry. Okay, let's do this side first. There we go. Okay, hold on to that for a sec. Just let her do its thing. As long as you don't move it, you put that in and you let it sit, just don't touch it. It'll dry and hold really quickly. And the final one. And of course, it's the one that wants to give me the most grief. These ones line up better. Although I can't show you right now because of the angle, but actually it's about the same. It's really close. They're really close. See? And then we get to these two, and they're cockeyed. But that's okay. That's okay. I would rather they be cockeyed than have a gap at the front that I can't close up. So I literally need to just let these sit like this for a little bit, and then I can add some styrene pieces, and I'll put one on each side of the engines, and or maybe even at the back. Maybe not the back, because if he does shine a light in there, I'd prefer that he actually see the engines. But I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. I might wind up just putting these in, cut this off, and attach that on there. Because then I could have this touching the fuselage and have it anchored on there. That's another option. I might do that. We'll see. But I gotta let this sit, and she's gotta sit straight up like this before we do anything else with it. So I'm gonna put her down over here, and I don't want her falling over. There we go. Okay, that should hold her for a while. Is there anything else I can do now that I don't have that? Because no, I can't, because the next step is to put their two fuselage together. The two halves. So that means I'm done for the day. Because I've got to let that cure before I can really start messing around with it anymore. Right? So I might as well take this opportunity to thank you guys and to ask you to hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. It's right over there. That would be really wonderful if you would do that. I'd also really like it if you hit the like button at the bottom too, over on this edge. That would be really nice too. And if you felt like, leave a comment. You guys who do comment, you guys know I like to I like to reply to your comments. I do read them all, so I really appreciate that. Also, if you're looking down there too, you'll see a description box. And in there you'll see some links to my other things like my Twitch and my Instagram and my X channel, and you can check those out too. I think I got Discord in there. It's been a long time since I really paid attention. Speaking of Discord, I will check that out later and see if I can navigate through that. I'm really a noob when it comes to Discord, so yeah, because I never go on it. Yeah. Anyway, I want to thank you guys for watching, and thanks for joining me and coming along on this little journey. And we'll see you all in the next one.